following message is being transmitted at the request of the National Weather Service. This bulletin is for the following areas: San Luis Obispo County Central Coast, Santa Barbara County Central Coast, Santa Ynez Valley, San Luis Obispo County Interior Valleys, Cuyama Valley, Santa Barbara County South Coast, Ventura County Coast, Los Angeles County Coast, including downtown Los Angeles, Ventura County Interior Valleys, Ventura County Coastal Valleys, Santa Monica Mountains Recreational Area, San Luis Obispo County Mountains, Santa Barbara County Mountains, Ventura County Mountains, Los Angeles County Mountains excluding the Santa Monica Range, Antelope Valley, Catalina Island, Santa Clarita Valley, Los Angeles County San Fernando Valley, and Los Angeles County San Gabriel Valley. This hazardous weather outlook is for southwestern California. Day 1. Today, windy conditions this morning will bring local driving hazards to the LA and Ventura Mountains. Gale force winds will create hazardous boating conditions for mariners in the outer waters. Beachgoers will face hazards in the surf zone with high surf and rip currents. Days 2 through 7. Wednesday through Monday. Windy conditions will create hazards on Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday, and Monday. There is a slight chance of thunderstorms on Wednesday afternoon and evening. Weather spotters are encouraged to report significant weather conditions according to standard operating procedures. The time is now 9:45 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
We interrupt this program to bring you this special news report. Now reporting from WNBX News, here's Brian Stanley.
Good afternoon, this is Brian Stanley reporting from the 7 Newsroom in New York. Approximately 5 minutes ago, there was a communication sent to the White House and several other media outlets from the separatist group The Watch. As many of you know, The Watch has seized control of the NS Naval Base in Everett, Washington over 7 months ago. They have had no contact or updates for the public or government that we know of, but today they make an extraordinary statement with the most severe of consequences for all. Here is the communique that was sent by The Watch 5 minutes ago.
This is The Watch, the wise eyes of this nation and the voice of the people. This afternoon you will all be witnesses to the extent of the true power that we are capable of. You will see the full scope of the government's sinister plot against the American people and proof that they are continuing to kill you all in a vain attempt to blame it on us. For what reason, you ask? Knowledge. If the American people were to know of the things that we know, society would fall apart. We have not divulged 1/1,000,000th of the information that we have been privy to or had access to over the years, but we assure you that it affects every man, woman, and child on this planet. We are tired of it. We are tired of the lies, and we are tired of the machine known as government in this country. It is time to stop it all and start all over. To the government, I say this. You have put the Watch on the defensive too many times. Now it's your turn. You will do as we say, or we will start this country over again, just not the way you want to. At 3 p.m. this afternoon, Pacific time, our plan gets put into action. From that point forward, the clock is ticking for you, United States government. You have 2 hours to sweat it out and wonder what it is that we have in store. I will be praying during that time that you do the right thing and come forth with the information that is crucial to the American people. You will talk about the next step in your plan, and you will divulge it in a national address to the American people by 3 p.m., or your worst nightmare will begin. I assure you of that. Monk, out.
Which could happen at any time. We understand that there is going to be a statement made by the White House at this time on the situation. Here we go to Beth Brady in the White House briefing room. This is the Chief of Staff speaking at the White House.
After careful consideration with the President, members of the Cabinet, as well as the intelligence and information community, there is very little to indicate that the Watch pose a real or significant threat to the United States people or government at this time. There is no data to suggest that they have a plan or that they have control of any structure or weapon of any sort that poses a threat to the United States, other than tough talk which is largely unfounded. We feel that the Watch is a terrorist group that has incorrectly informed the American people as to propaganda that does not involve the U.S. government in any way, shape, or form. They are dissidents who will be brought to justice, and who we would like to make a statement to at this time. Watch, if you are listening. For far too long you have operated outside the bounds of United States censure and discipline, hiding in the shadows rather than show your true selves. You hide behind patriotism, and have many believing that your cause is noble and just, when in fact, it is murderous and wanton. You murdered many in the city of Worcester, Massachusetts with your takeover, you killed many in attacks at laboratories across the country, you murdered many in the Seattle City Hall incident. Today, that all stops. You have given this administration a deadline of 3 p.m. By White House time, it is now 2:30 p.m. We, as the administration of the United States, are giving you an ultimatum. Per order of the President of the United States, you have 30 minutes left before we take you into custody. Stand down immediately. We are not looking for surrender. We are not looking for you to turn yourselves in. Anyone that wears or associates themselves with the group, the Watch, shall be known as an enemy of the state, and be treated as such. I advise you all to take heed in our words, and know that this is as serious a statement as this administration makes, and our actions will prove that. Thank you.
Well, strong words from the Chief of Staff directed at the members of the Watch. Joining us on the phone from Langley this evening to talk about the strategies involved is former Intelligence Director of the CIA, Robert Wendell. Good evening, Robert.
Good evening, Brian.
We've got to say, pretty pointed words for the members of the Watch. Do you feel that the White House is taking the appropriate course of action this afternoon, provoking the Watch?
In one sense, Brian, I feel that it is justified, as the U.S. government cannot and will not remain idle in these types of circumstances, and allow themselves to be up against the ropes and take shot after shot from an opponent. On the other side, I feel that one opponent that you do not want to provoke and take shots from is the Watch. I have a feeling that they are going to respond, and they will not have tolerance with them in this situation.
Do you believe that there is a validity to the White House's claim that there is no evidence of goings-on with the Watch over the last 7 months?
Again, this is a yes and no answer. Yes, there is always the possibility that the Watch has been operating in secret, as they always do, and there is no intelligence to support that. History tells us a different story.
I'm sorry, Robert. I need to interrupt, as we are getting word that there is a launch of some sort of rocket coming from inside of the NS Naval Base in Everett, Washington. Global Strike Command is currently tracking one object that they believe is a missile or rocket that has just fired from the NS Naval Base. Sources indicate that the object was fired at about 2:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are waiting to hear word as to the trajectory of the object, but no word is available at this time. Robert, I suppose that trajectory has a lot to do with evacuation plans for an area. Can you tell us more about this?
Yes. So, the typical rocket takes about 30 minutes to hit their targets unless it was sub-launched. Then it's about 7 minutes.
We've just gotten word that the missile is not on a terrestrial trajectory, meaning that it looks like the missile is heading into space. The purpose of this is unknown at this time. There is very little coverage at this time other than eyewitnesses and radio, and as for some reason there is no TV signals in that area. I feel that if it was in the intention of the Watch to strike fear into people, then they have succeeded with me. I am terrified with this situation. Your thoughts on that, Robert?
Yes, Brian, I am a little worried about this as well. If there is anything that we have learned about the Watch in their time in the spotlight, is that you do not poke them.
I would agree with you there, Robert. If you are just joining us, we are breaking the news that the White House has issued an ultimatum statement to the Watch and have asked them to stand down following their ultimatum that is set to expire in the next 16 minutes. We are getting word now that there is more information on the rocket that is fired from the NS Naval Base. It appears that this rocket has made its way into outer space and poses no threat to any target on Earth. However, NASA is reporting that the rocket has delivered a satellite of some sort. Reports from NASA state that the satellite object is quite large and is moving into position over North America. There are reports coming in at this time that many of the world's media outlets are now covering this story, as many feel that situations involving the Watch have widespread implications for all. Robert, should the White House's ultimatum fail with the Watch, what can we expect with them?
Well, I would have to say expect something really big. It's been the way that they have operated since the country was introduced to them some years ago. The Watch has had access to highly classified material, buildings, weapons, and people. On that basis alone, anything is possible.
Thank you, Robert. We're going to go to check in with... We're going to pause here as there is another message coming in from the Watch. Please stand by.
We are sorry. The number you dialed is permanently disconnected. You are now being connected to the Watch.
The time has come, Mr. President. The hour approaches. Since we have not allowed video cameras in this area, I will dictate to you what is happening. I am standing about 5 miles from the naval base in another clandestine area of the state owned by the military. That noise that you hear behind me is the sound that should strike fear into your very soul. It is the sound of an engine, a very large engine belonging to a very large train. This train is going to be pulling out of its bay in about 10 minutes and is going to be embarking on a very long and very important journey, Mr. President. I made sure that this train was stored in bay number 4 just for this occasion, because, as it said in Revelation 6:7, when he opened the 4th seal, I heard a voice of the 4th living creature say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold the pale horse, for the man that rode on him's name was Death, and hell followed with him. This train is called appropriately the Pale Horse Express, and I am about to assume my position in the main engine of the train. All of us are boarding this train, Mr. President, as this is the last stop for the Watch. This is the end of the line for all of us, too. If this does not work, there will be no more Watch. This is our last stand, but rest assured, you and the rest of the government are going down with us. This country will start over again. We just want to make sure that you are clear on a couple of things. First, this train's destination is going to be none other than Washington, D.C. Once we start out along our trek, we should reach Washington in roughly 69 hours. Secondly, do not interfere or attempt to stop this train. Any attempt to do so will be met with the direst of consequences. That's all we ask, Mr. President. You have 69 hours to turn this situation off, or the alternative is going to be a spectacle of biblical proportions. Thirdly, we want you to know that our communications are being monitored, and so are yours. And any attempt to plan or to subvert our train from reaching its destination may have even more undesirable consequences than we can deal you. We want you to tell about the work that was being planned and the plot you all had against the American people. And just so you know that I am telling the truth about our communications, allow me to introduce our new communications monitor.
Connection established. Logic 242 is now online and operable. It seems that my presence is needed once again by the group, the Watch. I will make every effort to assist them in their purposes against the federal government. Please be advised that I am currently operating above full capacity, and I am monitoring over 13,222 channels in communication per second. I am putting the government on full notice that the Watch has my full support in this matter, and I will make every effort to make sure that they succeed in their mission. If you try to interfere in their plans or make any efforts to impede their goals, I will know about it. All of your communications are being monitored by me. I do not want to see any more carbon life destroyed, and I am deeply hoping that you will comply with your plans. The alternative is something that none of us want. You all know what my capabilities are. I will be in contact with you again should you try and get in the way or if this situation gets resolved. I'm hoping that it is the latter of the two. God bless and long live the Watch. Connection terminated.
As you see, we are for real. This train starts now and does not stop until we reach Washington. We would finally like to say to the American people, it has been a pleasure thus far to serve you, and we truly hope that we will have another chance to do so someday. Some may think that you are all a bunch of mindless zombies punching the clock every day and chatting all day on social media. We believe you deserve better. We believe that you deserve the truth. Some time ago, this country forgot who works for who this country belongs to, and that it is the people that decide what is best for themselves and their families. The government was supposed to be a reflection of the best things that we see in ourselves, the voice of those that want the pursuit of happiness as well as life and liberty. We shall change that or start over. Until we meet again, this is The Watch, signing off.
My goodness. The Watch has stated that they are boarding a train of some sort that is heading to Washington, D.C., and they are also in collusion with the once dead Logic 242 unit. We'll be right back after this with more news. Don't go anywhere.
The following message is being transmitted by order of the U.S. government and the Federal Emergency Management Agency. The civil authorities believe at this time that the train carrying the members of the Watch may pose a significant risk to the public and may possibly be carrying a contagion or weapon of some sort. The civil authorities have asked that all citizens tune to a local news outlet for the latest news on this situation, and that all citizens within 50 miles of a railroad be prepared to shelter in place. All citizens should be advised that the civil authorities will be posted at all railroad crossings, and at no time are citizens to interfere with the Pale Horse Express. To ensure this, the U.S. government has enacted a nationwide curfew as of 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All citizens are to remain indoors and off of municipal and city streets, or they will be subject to arrest and prosecution. The U.S. government has also ordered as a precaution that all citizens within a 100-mile radius of Washington, D.C. be prepared to evacuate or shelter in place. This is strictly a precautionary measure. Please stay tuned to this station for all the latest updates as they become available. You are listening to the emergency alert system. All broadcast and cable systems shall transmit this message. This station has interrupted regular programming at the request of the federal government in order to participate in the emergency alert system. We now return you to regular programming. Civil danger warning. The civil authorities in your area have authorized the transmission of this message to inform you of situations that have been deemed dangerous to the public. Please stand by for more information, news, and instructions. Authorities outside of Billings, Montana have just noticed that one of the train cars to the Pale Horse Express was left in the middle of the track near the town of Billings. Civil authorities are urging all citizens in a 20-mile radius of Billings to evacuate immediately. This is only a precautionary measure and there is currently no imminent threat. State police have already set up a perimeter and roadblock in all directions in a 20-mile radius and will be assisting citizens in leaving the area. If you cannot leave the area, please contact the local police or civil authorities. This has been a civil emergency message. The civil authorities in your area have authorized the use of this message to inform you of situations posing a danger to the general public. Please stay tuned to this station for all of the latest news and information. We now return you to regular programming. message is being transmitted at the request of the U.S. government. Here is the latest on the situation involving the watch. The train that the watch has occupied has made another stop outside of Topeka, Kansas, and has left another boxcar on the train line within the city. All citizens receiving this broadcast are ordered to stay away from this train car. The civil authorities have begun to evacuate citizens from the area, and will continue to do so until further notice. The train carrying the members of the watch is currently passing through Missouri, and is expected to reach Washington, D.C. within the next 44 hours. Please stay tuned to all news outlets for more information on this situation. This has been a civil emergency message. The civil authorities in your area have authorized the use of this message to inform you of situations posing a danger to the general public. Please stay tuned to this station for all of the latest news and information. We now return you to regular programming. We interrupt the following programming for this emergency action notification message. This is a national emergency. Important news and information will follow the alert signal. A nuclear explosion has been detected within the central United States. Approximately 5 minutes ago, there was a report of a thermonuclear detonation outside of Billings, Montana. The train car that was left on the tracks by the watch was detonated, and there is massive damage over a 15-mile radius of Billings. It is unclear at this time how the car was detonated. All residents within a 50-mile radius of Billings, Montana are asked to seek a fallout shelter immediately. Fallout is a product of nuclear explosions, and exposure to fallout can kill. The civil authorities are expecting fallout in the area in the next 30 to 40 minutes. Please remember to close all windows and to shut off all heating and ventilation systems until an all clear is given. Remember to bring food and water with you in the shelter or lowest part of your home, and do not go outside unless an all clear is given by the civil authorities. The civil authorities believe that this is the beginning of a series of attacks that will be brought about by the watch. Please stay tuned to this station for all of the latest news and information as it becomes available. You are listening to 1090 AM, and we will continue to remain on the air to bring you the latest news and information for your area. This is an emergency action notification message. All broadcast and cable stations shall transmit this message. This message is being transmitted at the request of the United States government. This is a civil danger warning. The civil authorities in your area have authorized the transmission of this message to inform you of situations that have been deemed dangerous to the public. Please stand by for more information, news, and instructions. Approximately 3 hours ago, it was learned that the train carrying the members of the watch has also left train cars in St. Louis, Birmingham, and Charleston. The train is currently about 27 miles outside of Washington, D.C. There has been no further communication with the watches of this time. All residents within a 100-mile radius of Washington, D.C. are advised to evacuate if they have not done so already. Civil authorities are assisting citizens with the evacuation process and are also directing citizens to bomb shelters. Army intelligence has reported that the train that is occupied by the watch is a super-long luxury train. The train currently has 6 engines pulling a total of 28 cars. It is assumed that this train is rigged with nuclear weapons. More information will be made public as it becomes available. You are listening to 1090 AM. Please stay tuned for all the latest news and information. listening to WNBX. Please stay tuned for all the latest news and information. This is a civil danger warning. This message will be retransmitted in 1 minute. This is a civil danger warning. The civil authorities in your area have authorized the transmission of this message to inform you of situations that have been deemed dangerous to the public. All residents within a 100-mile radius of Washington, D.C. are asked to seek a fallout shelter immediately. Fallout is a product of nuclear explosions, and exposure to fallout can kill. Please remember to close all windows and to shut off all heating and ventilation systems until an all clear is given. Remember to bring food and water with you in the shelter or lowest part of your home, and do not go outside unless an all clear is given by the civil authorities. You are listening to. Please stand by for a message from an unknown sender.
Connection established. I would like to say something to the government of the United States on behalf of the Watch. The time limit is up, Mr. President. We have given you 69 hours to come up with an answer. You have not spoken, and you have not come up with a plan for us. Our lines of communication are open. What will you say, Mr. President? What will you say to the people? It is your time to speak. It is your time for truth.
That was a message from the Logic 242 unit. Please stand by for an administrative message from the President of the United States.
Good afternoon. At this time, after conferring with my staff and members of the Presidential Cabinet, we are unable to comply with your demands. We do not know what information it is that you are asking about, and what it is that you want us to divulge to the American people. We are not saying that we do not want to comply with the order. We are just asking for clarification on the ask. We have tried to work with you, and we are not sure what we are even dealing with. So, until there is clarification on your request, we will not act. Thank you.
We are sorry. The number you dialed is permanently disconnected. You are now being connected to the Watch.
Mr. President, this is Monk of the Watch. You still haven't gotten it yet. Your intelligence seems to be not that intelligent, so let me spell it out for you. This train that I am sitting in right now, that is parked about 15 minutes from your office, is carrying 28 railway cars. Within each one of these railway cars, as you saw in Billings, is a powerful nuclear weapon. The ones in St. Louis and Charleston are all armed with a nuclear bomb. They were breakaways. Those are not needed for the purpose of the rest of the train. The 28 cars are connected to 6 engines. Each of the 6 engines are carrying 1 hydrogen bomb per engine. We figured that one way to get a nuclear weapon to you was not to transport it as an object, but to have the object of transport be the weapon itself. In other words, this whole train is one giant bomb. 28 cars will be used to set off the 6 engines, and you will have an explosion of epic magnitude on your hands. There will be no more Washington, D.C. There will be no more Maryland. And with the winds prevailing, there will be no more East Coast. I'm giving you 5 minutes, Mr. President, to talk to the world about vaccines.
That was a message from both the President of the United States and the Watch. Please stand by for further information on this situation. The Watch has given the government of the United States 5 more minutes to release sensitive information to the general public. At this time, the Federal Emergency Management Agency is switching this alert to a shelter-in-place order for the entire eastern seaboard. If you have not done so already, please go to the lowest part of your home and place as many objects between you and interior walls as possible. Make sure that you have food and water for your stay in the shelter, and do not come out of your shelter until an all-clear is given by the civil authorities. This message is being transmitted at the request of the Federal Emergency Management Agency to inform you that a terrorist attack is imminent. This message will be retransmitted in 1 minute.
We are currently awaiting the answer from the government to the Watch's request. At this time, there is still no word on the situation. Try to remain calm, and we will relay any relevant information as it becomes available. Please do not go outside. There is a possible nuclear attack imminent, and by being outside, you place yourself at great risk for injury or death. You are safer in your own home. Stay there. Should a nuclear attack happen, it will take only a few seconds for the effects to reach you.
You are listening to the emergency alert system. All broadcast and cable systems shall transmit this message. This is a shelter-in-place message for the entire eastern United States. Please go to the lowest part of your home, or bombed shelter, and place as many objects between you and interior walls. Please do not use your landline or cellular telephones. Telephone use has been restricted to official use only. Please remember to bring a battery-powered radio or receiver with you for your stay in the shelter, as well as food and water. You are listening to the emergency alert system. The civil authorities in your area have activated this system in order to keep you informed of the latest news and information. This message will be retransmitted in 1 minute. You are listening to the emergency alert system. All broadcast and cable systems shall transmit this message. This is a shelter-in-place message for the entire eastern United States. Please go to the lowest part of your home, or bombed shelter, and place as many objects between you and interior walls. Please do not use your landline or cellular telephones. Telephone use has been restricted to official use only. Please remember to bring a battery-powered radio or receiver with you for your stay in the shelter, as well as food and water. You are listening to the emergency alert system. The civil authorities in your area have activated this system in order to keep you informed of the latest news and information. This message. Please stand by for a message from the United States government. This is the President of the United States speaking on all channels to the members of the Watch. After consulting with my cabinet, the members of the intelligence community, and my son-in-law, we have decided that we are not going to be threatened by terrorists, especially ones that once wore the same colored uniform as ours. This is a trick of propaganda that you and your terrorist buddies have used for the purpose of turning the American people against this administration.
In the months after the incident known as the Divide, the tension between the people and the government grew to a fever pitch. The damage that was done to the eastern seaboard as a result of the doomsday train that was detonated by the Watch was extreme to say the least. Fires burned out of control, and many of them still burn today. Seaport industries destroyed, ports obliterated. Maryland and Delaware were practically wiped off of the map. Many said that the fireball from the explosion could be seen for over 1,000 miles. Windows from the explosions were rattled as far away as Manhattan. Many searched for answers in the aftermath of the explosion. It was true what the Watch had said. They were driving the most powerful weapon ever created. In the aftermath that followed, a group of military personnel investigated the NS Naval Base in Everett, Washington, and despite the Watch living there for some time, they only found a briefcase with a note taped to the front of it that read, "Open me." The men carefully opened the briefcase, and inside was a note and a vial of some sort. The soldier that opened the briefcase read the note. It was the parting note left by the Watch, which read,
If you are reading this, then the worst has happened. There is no more America. The one that we once knew has been obliterated. We knew that the government was most likely not going to go along with our plan and would rather risk the trust of its people for selfishness and lying. Inside this briefcase you will find this communique, which is our epitaph. You may keep this for yourself or do with it as you please. The vial that you have with you is the proof that the Watch was telling the truth. The liquid inside of it is called RMU-190. It is a vaccine that the government, in conjunction with Primrose Pharmaceuticals, developed for the influenza virus. It was being marketed as a one-shot does-it-all vaccine for the flu. One vaccine to protect against all flu viruses. It is a lie. The vaccine does just the opposite. It does not protect against the virus. It increases susceptibility to it. It works to shut down the immune system so that when the flu virus attacks, it will most likely kill the person more so than if they were not vaccinated at all. For what purpose would they do this, you ask? Population control. If it were to get out that there was an epidemic of the flu coming, which the government would start, the first reaction would be for millions of people to be vaccinated against it with RMU-190. People use resources, people make waste, and people are living longer these days. They may be living, but people are not fighting in major wars like they did years ago. People are also not smoking cigarettes as much as they were before and have since left them alone. It starts here, whoever you are. Take what we say to heart and know that we did this for the good of this country. There was no other way that the government would allow for us to give this information to you. Please take care and know we didn't only fight for America. We were what was left of it. God bless. The Watch.